protesters. It's the violent Antifa radical militants that are coming out under cover of night, traveling across state lines, using military-style tactics to burn down our cities.
The White House putting Antifa on notice for inciting riots and violence across the nation. President Trump tweeting, quote, "The United States of America will be designating Antifa a terrorist organization." Here to weigh in, GOP Senator Armed Services Committee member, and a veteran himself, Senator Tom Cotton. Senator, does this do anything, declaring a domestic organization a terror organization?
Brian, first, I commend the president for recognizing that Antifa ought to be treated like a terror organization. There are a lot of tools that the president and the Department of Justice has in their toolkit, from the Insurrection Act to the Explosives Act to the Riot Act, that can be used to stop this anarchy. Let's be clear in the broader context here. The video of George Floyd's death is deeply disturbing. I welcome the quick action by local authorities and the Department of Justice to investigate, to get the facts, and to do justice for George Floyd in accordance with law. And we always respect the rights of peaceful protesters. But anarchy, rioting, and looting, we have zero tolerance for, and it needs to end tonight.
The New York Times has a comprehensive look at what happened to George, and it's even, if you're angry now, you're going to be even more enraged when you're done with it. It's worse than you could even imagine, and these officers should be prosecuted to the hilt of the law. I'm with you. I don't know anybody that feels differently, to be honest. However, in 33 cities, we have a curfew. In 41 states, we have unrest. In 27 states, we brought the National Guard, and none of it outside Minneapolis seemed effective. If you're the president in the Oval Office today, what can you do to bring order back in the country?
You're right, Brian, that the riots and the anarchy we've seen across the country have nothing to do with the death of George Floyd. In Washington, D.C., they set fire to a historic church attended by every president since James Madison. They defaced the Department of Veterans Affairs and the World War II Memorial, which honor our veterans. They defaced the Lincoln Memorial, a temple in which we remember the great emancipator. What the president can do is say that justice will be done in accordance with law for George Floyd, and we will always respect the right of peaceful protest, as many of these cities saw in the daytime. But the rioting, the anarchy, and the looting ends tonight. If local law enforcement is overwhelmed, if local politicians will not do their most basic job to protect our citizens, let's see how these anarchists respond when the 101st Airborne is on the other side of the street.
And you're a guy from the infantry. You know what an organized opposition is, and this seems to be an organized opposition. And lastly, real quick, the President of the United States is weighing his options to address the nation. Should he, and what should he say?
I believe the president's remarks in Florida at the space launch were very appropriate. He said how horrified he was by the video that we all saw of George Floyd's death, and that we respected the rights of protesters. But there's no place in this country where we should have zero tolerance for anarchy and rioting and looting. And if necessary, the president should use the Insurrection Act to deploy active duty military forces to these cities to support our local law enforcement and ensure that this violence ends tonight, not one more night.
You know, our Army was ready to be deployed to Minneapolis from Fort Drum in New York in 4 hours. They have to be ready, perhaps, to use the Insurrection Act to enable to deploy into New York City, because the city can't withstand another night like that. So, Senator, I look forward to talking to you again. There's few better people to talk to with your diversity of experience than you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian.
Damage and looted in Salt Lake City, Utah. Former Super Bowl champ and Utah GOP congressman, congressional candidate Burgess Owens says business owners in the city deserve a big apology. We're going to talk to him after the break.
So this happened on Saturday. This is an NYPD vehicle. It's hitting that barricade, knocking several people to the ground. The person who shot this video said the protesters were throwing trash and water bottles at the police vehicle at the time. No word yet as to whether anyone was hurt.
The video was upsetting, and I wish the officers hadn't done that, but I also understood that they didn't start the situation. The situation was started by a group of protesters converging on a police vehicle, attacking that vehicle. It's unacceptable. So the officers have to get out of that situation. I'm not going to blame officers who are trying to deal with an absolutely impossible situation. The folks who were converging on that police car did the wrong thing to begin with, and they created an untenable situation. I wish the officers had found a different approach, but let's begin at the beginning. The protesters in that video did the wrong thing to surround that police car, period.
Simone, what are you seeing and hearing from your vantage point?
Yeah, as to that video, you can be assured that folks inside the NYPD, officials inside the NYPD are very concerned about that. It's just not an appropriate tactic in any kind of situation. You know, we've been out here all day and we've seen police cars attacked. We've seen police vans on fire. And
The US Secret Service, the Parks Police, the National Guard on the other side of this barricade have approached the line where protesters have been kneeling and calling for them to kneel with them in solidarity and show some sort of compassion, some understanding and hear their message. And they haven't done that. They have instead, as you can see, drawn their shields and drawn. So just a few moments ago, it looked like there might be a bit of a stampede. Now everyone's moved back into the fence, so the protesters are very much holding their ground here. And I can tell you the officials on the other side of the fence are as well. There was a beautiful moment not long ago when one moment of the National Guard did kneel to his knee for George Floyd, and I can't tell you the sense that gave some of these people watching who really just want to see the authorities change their attitude.
That type of intimidation tactics is why we're here today. Everyone was being peaceful here. Everyone was kneeling, taking the knee in respect for George Floyd. And then the officers came and tried to assert their authority for unprovoked, which caused everything to change. And that's what's sad about this whole thing. And this is exactly what we're trying to change by coming out here and exercising our constitutional rights.
And so what would it have meant to yourself and so many people here if the people on the other side of that fence, the authorities, had have knelt on their knee and put their shields down?
I would think it would have caused a huge impact and a huge moment of change, a moment of solidarity to say, hey, we understand your pain. We're not on the other side of the fence to harm you. We're on the other side of the fence to protect you.
The only reason we're here is to make sure that you got a voice. That's it. There you go. For a second.
over the county and around this nation. We go out there to help people, not do that nonsense. There we go. Where's my man? Right there. Where's the gentleman?
Oh, I think he took off.
Okay, yeah, man.
He took off.
Pastor Hawkins, see, I was going to tell you. We want to be with y'all for real. So I took the helmet off and laid the batons down. I want to make this a parade, not a protest. You got little ones here, you got dogs, so what's up? So listen, I'm just telling you, these cops love you. That cop over there hugs people, so you tell us what you need to do. Let's walk.
In light of this situation or this week at all, but it has been one incredible study of sociology, psychology, and human behavior, especially the way that it ended here tonight. A peaceful protest gets tense. Eventually they close in, there's tear gas and everything else. They arrest people. They were arrested how many hours ago now? 3 hours ago?
Mm-hmm.
And as they stood in line with handcuffs on, they began in a strange way to bond with each other and even with the arresting officers.